Well, good morning. I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of my favorite men's shoe brands. This is not all of them, but it's just a few of the brands that I look for when I'm looking for shoes, because I do resell lightly used shoes. So thrift stores and so forth, I'm looking for certain shoes, and these are just a few of the brands that I've come to appreciate. I've worn and have enjoyed some of them, some of these brands, but not all of them. But they just seem like good quality, and that's what I'd like to tell you about. I'll start with Clarks. This is a pair of Clarks. They make men's and women's shoes. They're a pretty low, if you're buying them new, they're not very expensive, like I would think around $70 to $100 is typical for a pair of Clarks. And I've heard a lot of good things about them. They seem to be a comfortable shoe. They seem to be well made, for that price range, just a decent shoe. This is kind of more of a casual shoe, and then they have like loafers and Oxfords or dress shoes of brown and black and so forth. So that's Clark's. Another shoe that's kind of like that is Born. I'm just impressed by the leather lining, and of course the leather upper and rubber soles. All of these, Clark's and Born have rubber soles. And so I don't typically see dress shoes, men's dress shoes in Born, but normally what I see is kind of more of a casual shoe. Born makes a lot of women's shoes also. And they just seem like a decent, well-made shoe. The price range for Born when they're new, it's about the same as Clark's. It might be just a little bit more expensive. Probably could go up to around $120. All right, and the next shoe I'd like to mention are Allen Edmonds. Now, Allen Edmonds are made in the USA, and they're a fine shoe. And they typically are priced new around $375. Now, sometimes a particular model will go on clearance. I notice on Amazon.com sometimes a particular shoe will sell in kind of odd sizes, like not normal sizes, at a pretty steep discount. But anyway, the typical new price is around $375, and they're typically leather soled, though they do make rubber soled shoes as well, which is what these are right here. And a lot of the different types of Allen Edmonds shoes can be remanufactured by the company. I think it's $125. And they'll take it apart and they'll put it back together again with new soles and so forth, and really do it up nice. So these are Allen Edmonds. Again, new. They're about $375, and a lot of them are leather on the bottom. And then something else to mention is this brand right here. And it's pronounced Sandro Moscoloni. These are made in Brazil. This pair here is made in Brazil. A lot of times when I see these, they are more of a dress shoe. This is more of a casual shoe. But what's kind of characteristic about these is the pebble grain leather upper, and that it's soft and supple. It moves. It seems like a comfortable shoe. The flex is pretty flexible. Like, it's not the type of shoe you'd want to walk for miles in, but it's probably really comfortable for just being in the office or just casual wear or dress wear. And I think new, they're priced a little over $100 normally. and they seem like a pretty decent shoe. The insole and the lining seems like nice leather. It's an impressive looking shoe. And then another thing just to mention is this pair of Florsheims. And these are Imperials, which is kind of like a higher model for Florsheim. They make a lot of dress shoes. They range in price a lot, from $70, $80 maybe on Amazon to a couple $100 and so forth. These happen to be, they look like shell cordovan. I hope I'm saying that right. Which is a type of leather that different shoe manufacturers sometimes use, and it's taken, from what I've read, taken from the rump of a horse. It's that hide, and what's the characteristic of it is like a lack of wrinkles, but rather when it wears, instead of wrinkles, you just get a little bit of a wavy look here. It's really nice looking, and it's more expensive too. And I do have a pair of Crockett & Jones. These are penny loafers, leather soles. They're made in England. They're a pretty expensive shoe, new, several $100s. Well, that's what I'd mention today. And just considering, who this video and information is for, it might be for just the person who is wanting to be more familiar with shoes when they go into a thrift store, kind of have a better idea of what to look for. But then, of course, you can just, by handling a shoe, taking, seeing how it flexes and just looking at the liner, is it leather, or just does it look like it's well made? You can, with experience, go pretty far with just that also. One thing to mention as far as the flex, a medium flex tends to be pretty good. Some are just a little bit too flexible. Some are just a little bit too stiff. Stiffness kind of helps for walking in, for me. Just that support, kind of the rocking from heel to toe, and I like that if I'm doing a lot of walking in a pair of shoes. But sometimes that's not the most comfortable shoe for just around the house, not walking a whole lot, but just wanting to slip on something more comfortable. I like to have different shoes to slip into, so I'm not wearing the same pair of shoes too much. This information might also be for resellers like myself, and just to give you, just to get a better idea of what to look for. One thing I did when I was first getting started was I looked at the website of a kind of a higher class shoe company and got an idea of what shoes they sold. I went to the mall and looked at, went to a, kind of a nicer store and just looked and saw what they carried. And that's helpful too. So I hope that this information is helpful to you. Feel free to give me feedback concerning if it is or not, and just tell me a little bit about who you are, and I would appreciate that. And I hope that you have a good day.